Hi and welcome back to Programming with R and MATLAB. My name is Jan and I'm teaching assistant at Stockholm Business School. Today we're going to continue our basics. We're going to speak about loops and sorting. So we're going to think of what is loop. We're going to take a look at our example. So what is loop? So pretty much it's something that repeats itself or the same actions for some times over some period of time. And to get the example from the life, let's think over this. Each day you wake up, brush your teeth and eat. Just a very simple example. So the action which repeats itself is wake up, brush your teeth, eat, and you repeat it again and again each day, from day to day. Well, it sounds a little bit depressing, but okay. Well, there are two ways of introducing loop in our example. So it's for and do, and while and do. So the differences between them is pretty much, if you think over two types of people, the one who believe in fate and not, this is exactly applicable for these two loops. So let's get back to our example where we wake up, brush our teeth and eat each day, and take a very big attention to the word each. Usually when you're going to think over how to do something in future, if you can say each in the sentence of what you're going to do, then in most of the times it means that you have to use loop. So let's take a look at the for and do. It's loop for the people who believe in fate, because if you would like to write this sentence, we have our example in the for and do manner. It would be for each day of the whole number of days of the person's life, which are predetermined, like he or she will wake up, brush his or her teeth and eat. So pretty much if you want to imply for and do loop, you need to know how long the person is going to live beforehand. While is a little bit more optimistic. So pretty much while he or she is alive, he or she will wake up, brush his or her teeth and eat. So it doesn't, here in while you think over of a state, while in for and do you think more like about counting, and pretty much if you can count the seconds, time, something like sheep as well, stocks, then you would like to use for. While you would use on the state, like while, for example, x is less than 9, or while there is no solution for equation, or so on. So now let's take a look at our example. As you can recall from the previous video, our moving average rule needs to be applied on each stock. Let's take a look in here. We have a predetermined list of stocks, and we need to apply a moving average rule or if statement on each of it. So given our two structures for and while, we're going to use for because it's a predetermined list. We know beforehand how much elements is in this list. So we're just going to say for each ID, for each stock, do apply moving average rule. Some of you may ask why we're using ID here and why we're not using stocks. The thing is that in this example I would like to make it more close to the reality as how you're going to refer to the stocks in the programs we're going to write. You're not actually referring to the stock as is, you're referring to the ID in the matrix which have the stock. So pretty much, for example, if ID here is going to be equal 1, it's the same as if you're referring to the stock 1. And the same for the stock 100. So now we know how to form the list of the selected stocks. And now we need to find the stocks which have Sharpe ratio higher than the market's one. So what is Sharpe ratio? Sharpe ratio shows the relation between excess return and total risk. Pretty much it's a kind of a measure of how many risk you take, comparing to the how many profit or gain you are expecting the stock to give you. So the risk-free rate will be given to us, and we do not need to bother about it, how it can be calculated. And then expected return, which is just an simple average, as well as the standard deviation, it can be calculated automatically by R and MATLAB. So this is quite good. And yeah, it has to be calculated for each stock. And we see the keyword each. It means we're going to use a loop while calculating Sharpe ratio. So, and then it would be for each stock do calculate Sharpe ratio, and Sharpe ratio will just plug in the formula, plug in the numbers, and we're getting it. But so let's say the market's Sharpe ratio. So now when we calculated the Sharpe ratios, we first need to sort out and to identify the stocks which have the Sharpe ratio higher than the market's one. So just from the one we have already learned, when we are compared two things, what we're going to use? We're going to use if statement. Let's take a look at it. And just for particular this example, I'm explaining it here. I'm going to say that the market Sharpe ratio is 5, and we have the stocks with some Sharpe ratios. So let's identify the one first by ourselves, which have the highest, not the highest, the Sharpe ratio which is higher than the market one. So here it is then. It's stock 1, stock 2, stock 4. So, and pretty much what we want the program to do is to extract this 3 stocks and put it separately in the separate table. This can be done with a loop for each stock, because we need to check whether each stock is going to be is going to have higher or lower Sharpe ratio, and then do if the Sharpe ratio. So here we're comparing. So here we are comparing if the Sharpe ratio for a particular stock is higher than 5, because the market Sharpe ratio is 5. Then we include it to the list. Otherwise, you see, we're not including else here because we're actually not interested in it. So otherwise we just drop the stock, we're ignoring it. This is why there is no else. And if you a little bit get confused about for and do loops, because some of the people they get a bit confused, think over like this. Okay, for each stock, okay, let's say stock 1, then we're comparing the Sharpe ratio of the stock 1. If it is more than 5 or equal, then we include it. Okay, we included it. Then for each stock, so stock 2, bam, included, and so on. So pretty much it why I'm focusing on for loops a little bit more is that it's a bit tricky for some people to get it in the right way. So if you do not really getting it, try to think over not each stock, but let's say stock for 4 stocks from 1 to 100. So you pretty much you go for each stock from 1 to 100 and you apply this Sharpe ratio filtering. Also, there is another way. There is a built-in function which is called find, and it does absolutely the same thing. It looks for the stocks which have higher Sharpe ratio, or you can use it to find the Sharpe ratio higher than the pre-specified term on the market ratio. Why I showed you both examples and how you can write it by yourself, and that you can also use a built-in function, is that sometimes built-in functions has some limitations. So today we also did some Sharpe ratio filtering and found the stocks which have the higher Sharpe ratio than the market one. And also we talk about loops. So presumably you now know what is loop and how it can be and why it should be applied and how was the logic behind it. So thank you for watching. Please press here to play next video, and have a nice day. Hey though.